For the third time running, REA Group's Life in Australia report has rated Canberra as the most livable city in the country. The capital scored 62.3 out of 100 based on housing affordability, job prospects, safety, health, and it beat out all the other cities in education. That's first on the agenda for tonight's Taking Stock with Scott Phillips, Motley Fool's Chief Investment Officer, and John Connolly, a corporate strategist and contributor at The Australian. Gentlemen, good evening to you both. Thank you for being here. Does this make you want to pack your bags and move to Canberra, Scott?
I must be getting old. You know, there was a time, you know, the old obligatory school holiday Canberra trip, and you think, this is the most boring place on earth. I can't wait to get out. I was there a couple of years ago on holiday and it's really grown on me. I quite like Canberra. I could definitely see myself living there. I'm also a little bit happy as a Sydney side that Melbourne isn't the most livable city in Australia, just because they've grabbed that title and taken it for all it's worth for such a long time. It's kind of nice to be able to say, no, guys, Canberra wins this time. You can take a back seat for a bit.
Yeah, look, I think we can all understand why Sydney doesn't actually make the top of the livability list. It's fun, but fun's not what this list is about, is it? Scott did just say the B word. He said boring in relation to Canberra. Do only boring people get bored, or is Canberra boring?
Sophie, with due respect to Scott, this is fake news. Like, Canberra is full of 390,000 brown cardigan-wearing public servants whose idea of a big day out is going to the National Gallery. So seriously, this is a place where everything's perfect and so everything is boring. Nothing goes wrong. The people are average, the whole place is average. There's a reason they put it as far as possible from Sydney and Melbourne, which is to stop them having dreams of getting back into the major capital cities.
But don't you think it's boring to sit in traffic, and don't we do a lot of boring things in Sydney?
No, because we've got all that crime to look at. You know, there's always someone trying to break into your car, a bit of road rage, lots of dirt, garbage everywhere. It's fantastic.
They're not knocking down stadiums in Canberra, John. They're only knocking down stadiums in Sydney. You don't get that sort of stuff in the nation's capital.
Yeah, and they finish their light rail on time.
Oh dear, that's all right. It's a worry, isn't it? Sometimes boring's okay, though. I've got to say, I do agree with John to some degree. You're not exactly going to have an exciting time in Canberra. It's kind of a nice place to go and visit, and unlike John, I'll be welcomed back. John may not be able to go past the border.
So if you have to ask Scott where he lives.
Where do you live, Scott?
I live in Bowral.
Oh, he's halfway there.
Canberra would be peak fun. He would think Canberra was just like the New York.
Oh, when they want to go see the bright lights, then go to Canberra.
Bright lights at Canberra, the casino, one roulette table, one baccarat table. It's fantastic.
The Canberra casino isn't a patch on the Penrith Panthers are, so put it that way.
And look, and you can bump into lots of federal politicians, which is another great selling point for Canberra, John.
I would think that's the worst selling point for Canberra. You know, to see a federal politician in real life would be more shocking than seeing it on the front page of The Australian.
Oh, look, I lived there for a couple of years as a teenager, and it's not that bad. But
you have to say
good,
that.
Though, you're saying.
Yeah, I did kind of have to say that. All right, let's move on. Look, a year after they were banned from representing Australia in cricket, former captain Steve Smith and deputy David Warner are cleared to play, but Smith must play another year without incident to be considered for a leadership role. And Warner is out of a leadership spot for good. John, you've dealt with crisis management extensively. How does the team move forward out of this scandal? Well,
I think there's a big problem because clearly the article in Fairfax today was leaked by one or more members of the team. So there's real troubles there. Warner is an incredible talent. He's the sixth best batsman in the world. I think 7 one-day international centuries. Just sensational. Cricket Australia, after that scathing report, have come some of the way. Chief executives resigned, chairman's resigned, but I think they're at one of those bank moments, you know, the bank culture moments, where either they're going to, Warner has to agree to be coached into a change of behaviour, or they've got to make a decision, because Warner was picked every time because he was win at any cost, do whatever it takes, incredibly talented. But, as the ball tampering scandal showed, is that the culture we want in the Australian team? So I think the big decision is not some PR trick. The big decision is, does Warner join the the London team or not?
Scott, you're a passionate lover of their game. How did it make you feel when all of that unfolded?
Oh, I'm a big fan of culture. The Sydney Swans have their famed no, I'll say, idiots policy to make it family friendly. They built a team around a particular culture, a particular way of playing the game. And I think culturally, we expect more, hopefully, of all of our sporting teams, but certainly the Australian cricket team. It's kind of, they often said, the most important job in Australia isn't the PM of the country, it's the captain of the cricket team. And those people have to be beyond reproach. We want them to play a certain way, play hard, but play fair. And to John's point, David Warner in particular has stepped across that line more times than I think any of us care to count, despite his prodigious talent. And that's the real challenge, is he's been brought into a team, either he's helped make it a team or it's become a team that's win at all costs. And that's not the way Australians want to see their cricket team play cricket. And I think at some level, I think I was on record at the time of saying I'd be happy to see Warner never play for Australia again. Not because I dislike the bloke, but because it would put a line in the sand from the team to say, we want to win every game we play, but we want to win by playing the right way. And if you can't have an Australian cricket team, frankly, that I want to be proud of, part of me actually thought, well, I'd rather see that team lose, even though I'm a passionate Australian cricket fan, than actually win playing the way they play. It doesn't reflect well on us. And it's kind of no fun to follow that team on that basis, right? You kind of, it's like the team that cheats every time to win. It's kind of, they win, but you kind of go, well, we didn't really deserve that. I want us to win, but I want us to win playing the right sort of cricket, the right brand of cricket, to use the cliche. It's a team worth following at that point.
But he's had a lot of time to gaze at his navel and really think about his actions, hasn't he? I mean, will that affect how he comes back?
I think to John's point, that's why this is make or break. Frankly, he's had those opportunities before. This is not his first rodeo in terms of getting on the wrong side of the public, the wrong side of the cricket administration, the wrong side of the right standard of behaviour. And he's come back every time. He seems to come back and not quite be able to fit back into the culture that, in theory, we want. Now, to be fair, John mentioned, a management change at Cricket Australia. That, from the top down, has been win at all costs. The famed line, apparently by Steve Smith, was James Sutherland came in and allegedly said, we don't pay you to play, we pay you to win. Now, if you start with that approach, that is absolutely fish rotting from the head down stuff. Here's the chance for everybody to reset expectations. Warner probably does deserve a second chance. I was probably too rash when I said that a year or so ago. He probably deserves a chance to come back, but it's probably the last chance, I think. Another transgression, you've kind of got to say, mate, you're a great talent. We love you as a bloke. We just can't have you on the team because that's not the direction we're going. Do you agree with that, John? Absolutely. If he blows his chances.
I think it is one of those. Look, you can make a choice. The choice is win at any cost culture. Well, that's fine, as long as you're prepared to accept the consequences, and I don't think most Australians are. Or you make a decision to say we're going to have the right culture and we can win with that.
All right, well, let's hope they do. Let's hope there's cultural change and winning. I think they can be, and that's the point, right? They're actually, it's been shown that it can be done. You don't have to play that way to win a game of cricket. And frankly, if you do, well, you probably don't deserve to win. And again, do you want the game to dissolve into that sort of situation? I don't think so. All right. No, I don't think so either. Moving on, a $620 million yacht has been given back after a 2-year asset freeze in one of the world's most expensive divorces. Russian oil tycoon billionaire Farhad Akhmedov, he was hit with an $835 million divorce bill in 2016 when he and his wife split. He failed to pay it and is only just getting back certain treasures. Should couples aim to settle peacefully to avoid a lawyer's picnic, or should he have just signed a prenup? Look, when my marriage didn't work out, I got the good fridge in the Volvo. Like, nobody froze my $620 million yacht for...
Give back the Volvo.
Yeah, no, I sold that. What do you reckon?
If I had $1 for every time my yacht got froze, I had to give it to my ex-wives, I'd be in clover. It's a fascinating story. I mean, look, a prenup's worth it, probably not at the end of the day. They're kind of not worth the paper they're written on. What I am surprised about is that they couldn't find a way, monetarily or otherwise, to sort this stuff out. Jeff Bezos, one of the kind of the poster marriages, if you like, or poster divorces, more to the point. Yeah. He's splitting with his wife, but they're doing it in a way that, you don't know what happened behind the scenes, but they managed to do it appropriately, amicably. Both parties seem happy enough. Maybe someone had to pay a bit more, maybe someone had to pay a bit less. But it's kind of one of those things, though, right? When that gets involved, when no one wants to step back, no one wants to lose, both people end up losing and no one loses the lot for the last couple of years while it was stuck in some dry dock somewhere. There, but for the grace of God goes anyone, I suppose, at some level, although it'd be a nice problem to have, wouldn't it? Who gets the $635 million yacht? Yeah, it would be a nice problem to have. And we hope it was frozen. I mean, what if somebody was, secretly enjoying that yacht? You couldn't really do it very discreetly, though, could you? Well, the crew could, because they're on board. Yeah, they're getting paid. They're having a great time. Yeah, they still have to tend to it. What do you think the wash-up of this is? I think you have to take what Scott said with a grain of salt. It's his 10th anniversary tonight. He's taking his wife to McDonald's, bring your own.
He's into Sydney. He didn't go to Canberra, couldn't afford to go to Canberra, so he's come to Sydney. So
they've got McDonald's close to Bowral.
I know, but so he's biased to what he said. But look, I think what we don't get when we talk about this stuff, and it doesn't have to be about yachts, is this is one of the most emotional times of anyone's lives. So there's extraordinary anger involved, and no one thinks clearly. People are trying to get revenge. People are trying to make life as difficult as possible. You see that with custody of children. I think it's just an awful time, and I think what we're seeing with the yacht is simply what happens, I think, at every level of society in the Western world when a marriage breaks up. It's just an extraordinarily awful time, awful for the kids, so full of emotion. People don't have any sort of clarity. They just want revenge, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, well, you know, only people who handle it particularly badly.
And gets a Volvo. Yeah.
Well, that's because I refused to fight, see? I ended up with a Volvo. I'll know for next time.
Exactly. Next time, make sure you get the yacht. That's the answer. Clearly the lesson here.
Well, that guy's single now, isn't he? So I might track him down.
There you go, perfect.
Although once bitten, twice shy, I'd imagine, in his case.
It's a big yacht.
It is a big yacht. John Connolly and Scott Phillips, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Sophie.